Bonjour mes amis, bienvenue à la prochaine leçon de vidéo. Aujourd'hui, nous discutons la routine du matin. Good morning everybody and welcome to our next video lesson. In this one, we're going to talk about the morning routine, la routine du matin or ma routine du matin. We're going to do so by looking at some composition skills, how to write a story in French from beginning to end. So first, let's take a look at the composition globally. Je me réveille vers 6 heures, mais je ne me lève pas immédiatement. Chaque matin, avant de m'habiller, je me lave le corps. Je me lave la figure en même temps que je me douche. Je me prépare pour l'école. En premier, je me brosse les dents et je me coiffe les cheveux. Ensuite, je m'habille. Alors, je promène le chien. Pendant que nous nous promenons, je regarde mon email ou le Facebook. Enfin, je donne à manger au chien et je m'en vais au lycée. Bon, so looking at this in English, hopefully by now you've got some of these words in your pocket for the previous video lesson and your vocab accordion. So, je me réveille vers 6 heures. I wake up around 6 o'clock. Je ne me lève pas immédiatement. I don't get up immédiatement. Chaque matin, each morning, avant de m'habiller, before getting dressed, je me lave le corps. I wash up, or I wash my body. Je me lave la figure en même temps que je me douche. I wash my face the same time, or as I am taking a shower. Je me douche. Je me prépare pour l'école. I get ready for school. En premier, je me brosse les dents. First, I brush my teeth et je me coiffe les cheveux. I do my hair. Ensuite, je m'habille. Then I get dressed. Alors, je promène le chien. Then I take the dog for a walk. Pendant que nous nous promenons, while we are walking, je regarde mon email ou le Facebook. I look at my email or Facebook. Enfin, in the end, or finally, je donne à manger au chien. I feed the dog. Et je m'en vais au lycée. I head out to school. So let's take a look at this more specifically. So each thing in the yellow highlight is one of our reflexive verbs, and you'll notice that each one has the correct reflexive pronoun in front of it. Je me, nous, je me. Now I do want to highlight second line, m'habiller. You'll notice that even though it's not conjugated, habiller, I still have to put the correct reflexive pronoun to go with my subject, which in this case is je. So I would still put me. If I was trying to say you wash the body, then I would put a te. If I was saying she washes her body, I would put a se. So even if it's not conjugated, the reflexive pronoun still has to reflect the subject. So in each of these, you'll notice that each reflexive pronoun is conjugated correctly, as well as the verb and the pronoun. Now let's look at the words that are underlined. Le corps, la figure, les dents, les cheveux. What do all of these have in common? If you said they all have le, la, les, that is correct. And also they are all body parts. Le corps, body, la figure, face, les dents, teeth, les cheveux, hair. So remember, anytime we're talking about a body part, especially with a reflexive verb, we only use le, la, les. Je me lave la figure. I wash my face. Yes, but it translates as I wash the face. Je me coiffe les cheveux. I do my hair, but we don't have to put the word for my. The other thing I want to point out is the words that are highlighted in blue, promène, regarde, and donne. You notice they don't use reflexive pronouns because they're not reflecting the action. If the action is not being reflected back onto the subject, then you don't use a reflexive pronoun. Reflexive pronouns only belong to certain verbs. They do not belong to every verb. You don't just start adding them everywhere. No, you only put them when the action is being reflected back onto the subject. Je promène le chien. I'm walking the dog. We don't use a me because I'm not walking myself. I'm walking him. I'm walking the dog. Je regarde mon email. I'm looking at the email. I'm not looking at myself. Je me regarde could be a sentence I could say. I look at myself or I check myself out. Je me regarde. That is fine if that's what you mean to say. But if I'm not looking at me, I'm looking at something else, then I don't use a reflexive pronoun. Same thing with je donne à manger. I'm not giving to myself, I'm giving to someone else. So I don't use reflexive pronouns. So it's important to understand that we don't always use reflexive pronouns, but we will use reflexive pronouns when the action is being reflected back onto the subject. Last, I want to look at these phrases, these new words for us. These are going to be great for us in understanding how to tell a story and also for your upcoming composition. The words that are typed in blue. Vers, chaque, avant de, en montant que, en premier, ensuite, alors, pendant que, and enfin. These are very important phrases for telling stories, or if you're just trying to describe a routine. Vers has two meanings. So it's a preposition meaning towards, but in this case, when you use it with an expression of time, 6 heures, it means around. So je me réveille vers 6 heures. I wake up around 6 o'clock. So vers in this case means around or near. Chaque, each. Avant de, before, but that means before an action. So avant de is before an action. So you notice it's before getting dressed. Avant de m'habiller. So before eating. Avant de manger. I can't just say before the mall. Avant de centre commercial. I wouldn't use that. I only use avant de when there's an action involved. En montant que, at the same time or while. So en montant que means at the same time that, literally, but it can also just mean while. So I wash my face while I shower. En montant que. After que, we have to use a whole new clause. So you need a new subject and a new action involved. Je me douche. En premier is just an adverb meaning first. If you're going to use that phrase en premier, you always start your sentence with it. Ensuite and alors both mean the same thing. They mean then or next. Ensuite literally translates as next or following. Alors literally translates as so or then. But they mean the same thing. You can probably switch them out almost interchangeably. Pendant que, during or while, but again, it has that que, so you have to start a new clause. Again, nous promenons, we walk, because it's being reflected. Nous promenons. And enfin, two words, means in the end or finally. So those are the words that we're going to need to use to tell our stories when we are telling things that happen one after another. Pay attention to using your reflexive verbs correctly like we have here. And then, of course, make sure that you're not always using reflexive pronouns if it's not a reflexive verb. A bientôt!